Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Beach Boys album ranking video. Today we're up to number 16 out of 30, so we are almost halfway through. One more review and we're almost halfway. Anyway, last video we checked out the Beach Boys Christmas album from 1964. I had a lot of things to say about that one. That is a very, very special album that is very unique within their discography, and this one coming out that we're talking about today is an even more special album. This is actually probably the most listened to Beach Boys album for me. I've probably listened to this album more than any other Beach Boys album, but let alone that, maybe any other album ever. This might be my most listened to album of all time, if I'm going to be honest. And this is a very special one to me, very dear to my heart. And is it one of their best releases? No, but I think it is a great album that marked an amazingly big change for the band and Brian's producer songwriting skills. And without any further ado, the album is from 1963, released on September 16th, 1963. Their third album, Surfer Girl. And man, I love this one so much. There's so many things I have to say about this one because this record is just so comfortable, and this is my go-to record. If I don't know what to do, if I'm just sitting down, I want to listen to some Beach Boys, and I'm just like, what do I throw on? This is the album that I throw on. I've probably listened to this album. I've definitely listened to an album more than 50 times. Easily more than 50 times, because it's short. It's 25 minutes, and it's just full of beautiful songs and full of classics, and it's just one of those records that is just iconic and remembered, you know, especially for the album cover, but just the songs that were on it. So, you know, the Beach Boys started in 61, they released their debut Surfin' Safari in 62, and, you know, they gained a lot of traction with those, but then it was in 1963, in the beginning of the year, with Surfin' USA, the album and the single, the band blew up, and with that came a whole wave of new fans and want for new Beach Boys material. And basically during the late spring, early summer of 1963, they went in the studio and started to work on their next album, which would turn into Surfer Girl. And really, it starts with the single, the title track, Surfer Girl, the single, which was backed with Little Deuce Coupe. And I'm not exactly sure when that was released, but Surfer Girl, the single, I think went to number 7 on the charts, as did the album. I think the single went to number 7. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it was really the first major ballad that the Beach Boys ever put out. You know, they had Lonely Sea on Surfin' USA, but in terms of well-known single ballads, Surfer Girl is the first. So that single changed the game for the Beach Boys, and then Little Deuce Coupe was a classic hot rod on the other side. So it was an amazing single, and people loved it because both songs charted very well. And with that became even more want for a new Beach Boys album. So, as I said, they went into the studio and started working on new songs, and what came out was this absolutely amazing record, and in my opinion, the best pre-British invasion record made by anybody. You know, there's arguments to be made for Bob Dylan or, you know, not, and other artists in different genres, but to me, this is the best pre-British invasion album I've heard, personally. And there's so many things about this one I love, but I guess I'll just start kind of with I mean, I already got the backstory, but, you know, 63, the guys were young. They were very young. Mike was 22. Brian, I think, was 21. Dennis was, I think he was 18. Carl was 16. And then David, who was in the band at this point, was fucking 14. So they're young. They're still young, because yes, this was their third record, you know. When this record came out, Surfin' Safari hadn't even been out for a full year, but you gotta remember how fast they were putting out albums at this point. Because, you know, you had March with Surfin' USA, and then, you know, April, May, June, July, August, September. So 7 months and this record came out, and then Little Deuce Coupe came out literally 3 weeks after this one. So they put out a lot of albums in a very short amount of time, but for me, out of those early records, you know, the first 2 years, 62 to 63, this is easily the best one. All Summer Long, in my opinion, is much better than this one. We'll get to that in a little bit, but this record has its own place, and I will tell you why. I need to stop rambling. So, the Beach Boys were young, they were hungry, they were ready to make music, and Brian was growing as a songwriter, a producer, just a musician, and they took that single, Surfer Girl, and they made it the opening track on this album, and what I have to say is that it's a fucking masterpiece, one of the greatest songs ever written, and there's a few other songs in here that I have the same thing to say about. Everybody knows this song because it is a classic ballad, but for those of you who don't know Surfer Girl, just go listen to it. It is probably one of the most beautiful songs that Brian ever wrote. You know, a love song, but it relates to the topic of surfing, which is fits with their image at the time. And Brian's lead and the harmonies and the, you know, the rhythm of it and the lyrics, it's just so beautiful and so real. It's just heartwarming and touching, and it's honest. And you know, their previous two albums, they had, you know, rock song openers. So for their third album to have a soft, beautiful ballad was a big change, and in my opinion is easily one of their best openers ever. Probably like top 5 album openers for any of their albums for sure. And it's just absolute masterpiece. And again, I think it went to number 7, as did the album. And it's followed up on the record by Catch a Wave, a non-single, but a pretty well-known song, and this one is awesome. I love this one. It's just a straight-up surf rock song, but to me, this one shows an advancement in the Brian's level of arrangement ability, and just the harmonies and the overall talents that the boys were, you know, growing. They're growing their talents, and Catch a Wave, the amazing fucking song, you know, catch a wave, you'll be sitting on top of the world. Just love that. So catchy. And out of all their rock surf songs, you know, they didn't make that many actually. You know, when they were actually talking about surfing, the Beach Boys didn't actually make that many surf songs, which is kind of funny because a lot of people remember them as a surf band, when in reality they only did actual surfing music for 2 years at most. So, you know, for me, Catch a Wave is easily one of their best surf tracks, and so catchy, and you would think it would be a hit because a lot of people know the song. This is a well-known song. It's been on a lot of compilations. They played it live a bunch, but it wasn't a single. So, you know, it's gained notoriety just from the popularity of this record, and for good reason. It's a great song and follows up the opener perfectly. Next, we go into a song that's very, very, very special to me. You can see it right here on the cover. The Surfer Moon, my Instagram username, and one of just the most special Beach Boys songs to me. I don't know what it is about it. There's nothing in specific that I love about it so much. I think it's just the song as a whole is just so melodically beautiful. It's a very underrated song, not that known, but Brian wrote it with Bob Norberg in '62, and it was actually released as a single it was like Bob and Nancy or something. It was released as a single under a different group, so I think it's Bob and Nancy, but then the Beach Boys actually recorded it because it was written by Brian, so it was their song, and they released it on this album, and it was not a single or anything. But to me, wow, what a fucking beautiful, beautiful piece of art, man. The dun 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 dun, you know, the string, the awesome, you know, staccato string intro, and just the super, super beautiful strings over the whole song. It's actually the first Beach Boys song with a string arrangement in the song, which is super interesting. And really, it's just a beautiful ballad. And what I love about this record is there's 4 amazing ballads on here, and they're among the best songs the Beach Boys ever did, and The Surfer Moon is no different. Brian's vocal is absolutely beautiful, and I'm pretty sure this song is just Brian. There is harmonies, but I'm pretty sure it's just him harmonizing with himself. And this song actually reminds me a lot of another Beach Boys song that is unreleased and has never been. It's only available on bootlegs, but it's actually my second favorite Beach Boys related song of all time. It's one of my favorite, probably my second favorite song of all time. Nobody knows it, but it's called "Thank Him," and it was a Brian Wilson demo from '63. He recorded it onto a 4-track or something at his house. Very, very raw, very, very low quality, but it's the most haunting and beautiful thing I've ever heard besides Surf's Up. And this, to me, Surfer Moon, kind of feels like what he wanted to do with Thank Him, but he kind of just reworked it into a song for this album. And while I don't personally love the Surfer Moon as much, I still love it because you could tell it is my username, and for a song to be my Instagram username, it has to be special. So for me, the Surfer Moon is just an absolutely beautiful piece of work that rivals Surfer Girl, in my opinion. And something is so long, like, it gives me a feeling of not nostalgia, but longing. It kind of makes me long for better days for some reason. And it's just, man, Brian's voice is just beautiful. Man, he sings all the ballads on here, and, well, he has the lead part on all the ballads, and his voice just comes across so well. And Surfer Moon, beautiful. Listen to it if you haven't. Next, we go into the first filler song on the record, but that being said, it is a good filler song. It's called South Bay Surfer. This one is a very short, sweet, simple song, but it has very high energy. It starts off with, you know, snare, floor tom, fast fills, and then it goes into it, and it's I'm pretty sure it's just Brian and Mike and Dennis sharing a lead, or so. I think it's Brian and Dennis sharing a lead, and it's very simple. Nothing too crazy about it, but it's catchy, it stays in your head, and it flows the energy well. The energy, even with the ballads, does not go away on this album, and it just stays constant, and even with this filler song, it doesn't take away from the album's greatness. It's still a fun, catchy song that, while it doesn't match up to the first 3 amazing songs, it's still a solid one. And I enjoy it personally. A lot of people, have mixed opinions on it, but I like South Bay Surfer. I think it's a good one. The Rocking Surfer is another instrumental. This is a surf rock instrumental, so this, it's another filler song, not another instrumental. This is the first of 2 instrumentals on this album, but as I was saying, it's a surf rock instrumental, so it's just instruments and playing in a surf style, and I really like this one. This one feels like an evolution of the instrumentals they were doing on Surfin' USA, but took to a different level. I love Carl's guitar playing. I love whatever kind of keyboard, whatever they were doing on it. I love the sound of it. It's super airy and breezy. Something about it's really nice. It's very short, like South Bay Surfer, but it has its place, because even though it is just an instrumental with, keyboard, piano, whatever they're using, and then lead guitar with Carl and lead guitar, it still stays in your head and still a really catchy song. So I enjoy that a lot about it. And though it is filler like South Bay Surfer, I think it is good filler. I think while it is not up to the same level as the best songs on here, it has its place and it fills in the album in an entertaining way, and I always get enjoyment out of it. I never skip it because I like how it sounds, And it is followed up by the last song on side 1, and you could hear it in the background. I like this line right here. Little Deuce Coupe. So this was the B-side to Surfer Girl, the single, and this is an absolute Hot Rod classic. It's one of 2 Hot Rod songs on this record, and dude, it is fucking awesome. Out of all the Beach Boys singles, big singles, it's not one of my favorite Beach Boys singles. Chart topping singles. Well, it didn't top the charts, but you know what I'm saying. Charting singles. Out of all of those, it's not one of my favorites, but it is a classic. It is an absolute classic, and I already talked about it on the Little Deuce Coupe review, but I'll go in a little more depth. So, this kind of was besides 409, this was the first Hot Rod song that went big on the charts, because 409 didn't really do that well on the charts, but this one actually did really well. So, it kind of got that whole Hot Rod craze going, and it's a classic, and for that, I have to, give it praise. It's not one of my favorite songs, but that being said, it's still a fucking classic, and I love it. Just because it's not one of my favorites doesn't mean I don't like it. It's just because this album is so good, there's just so much to compare it to. And that ends off side 1. Absolutely beautiful. You have 3 fucking stellar opening tracks. You have 2 fun filler songs, and then you have a classic Hot Rod track. So already, amazing first side. And side 2, I can't even say anything. One of the greatest songs ever written. I just kind of have to let you guys listen to this. I'll be completely quiet for a couple seconds. In My Room. So, this song doesn't really need any further explanation. To me, this is truly just one of the greatest songs in music history. It was initially released on this album just as an album track. It was later released as the B-side to Be True to Your School later the year, in like a month later, after the Little Deuce Coupe album came out. But it was initially just an album track on this album, and I cannot imagine buying this album in '63 and hearing this song for the first time. It is one of the most relatable, haunting, melodically perfect, and most well-written songs I have ever heard in my entire life, and that is saying a lot, because yes, the Beach Boys are my favorite band of all time, but In My Room is just something else. It is just a piece of art that, it is not, it's not Brian's greatest song, because he made hundreds and hundreds of amazing songs, and he made, dozens of songs that were better than this, in my opinion, but this was, in my opinion, his first song where he kind of made people say, holy shit, who is Brian Wilson and where did he come from? Because, Surfer Girl is awesome. I love Surfer Girl. The Surfer Moon is amazing. In My Room is a completely different thing. It is so deep and poetic. And for 1963, you didn't really hear songs like that, especially pop songs that were, radio songs and big, well-known songs. And You know, even my family, you know, my grandparents, they all know this song, and is beloved by everybody, and is one of those rare instances where it kind of transcends music and is just part of someone's personality. For me, um, this is one of the songs that I can relate to the most. You know, in my room, that's where you feel safe. That's where you can feel like you can be yourself and you can escape the worries of the world. And it was very true for Brian at the time because, you know, his pressures of touring and writing and being in the band were picking up, along with his horribly abusive father, who was, you know, terrible to him and his brothers, and just his mental issues that he had been developing up to that point, and they would just get worse as he would go along. And I feel like this song was kind of his way to cope and write a song that he wanted people to be able to relate to, and I can 100% relate to that because I've been there. And this song just, I've sat down and cried to this song on multiple occasions, and it's beautiful, and I can't really say much more because it is a classic song, and it's actually not even my favorite song on the record, but it is the best song on the record in my opinion, and absolute masterpiece, one of the greatest songs ever written for sure. So check it out. You guys probably already know the song, but if you haven't, go listen to it. Next, complete mood change. The song Hawaii, a non-single, but great. Verses by, well, you have Brian on the chorus and then you have Mike on the verses, and this one's really fun. Really fun, upbeat, carefree song about going to Hawaii and surfing and the girls there. And I've always liked this one a lot. One thing that's always slightly, not bugged me, but I've kind of noticed in the song is that Mike has a cold on his vocals, so you can tell, you know, you can tell when he's doing his verses, you can tell that his vocals are like kind of fucked up. They sound good and they're catchy, but you kind of tell like, damn, Mike, you sound a little off. And it hasn't really bugged me, but it's kind of something I always notice when I listen to the song. I'm like, oh, interesting. But I still love it. It's a great song, and you know, coming from In My Room, it kind of cheers the mood up a little bit, gets the energy back going. And I think it's a great classic song, very underrated. I love the vibe of it. I love Brian's falsetto. I like the verses. I like everything about it. It's a great song. Followed up by Surfer's Rule, and this one is awesome. So this was actually a diss at the Four Seasons, and if it actually was intended to be a diss, this actually might be one of the first diss tracks in music history, which would be really cool. I don't know if it was, but it definitely kind of feels like it because, you know, they say Four Seasons, you better believe it. And at the end, Brian does the falsetto line from Walk Like a Man, kind of, you know, not like imitating the Four Seasons, kind of just doing like their own little pick at them, which I think is awesome. It's a really catchy song. Denny does lead vocals, so this is his second ever lead on a Beach Boys song, and a lot of people, you know, don't realize that before Do You Want to Dance, he actually did sing lead on Beach Boys songs, so this is a good example of that. And excuse me. This one, not a lot of people know about it, but it's really cool because I just like the vibe of it. I love the falsetto, I love the chorus, I love the ending, I love Denny's vocal, and I love the lyrics, and it's just a fun song overall. And if it, as I said, if it is a diss towards the Four Seasons, that's awesome because doing diss tracks this early in the 60s, that's cool. Followed up by Our Car Club, a song I touched on Little Deuce Coupe, but it was originally featured on this album, and I like this one a lot. As I said, it was a non-single, technically a filler song, but it is so good you wouldn't even think it is. It's just a good album track, a great album track. Amazing vocal from Brian, great chorus, great energy. I love the instruments on it, I love the snare drum, everything just works so well together, and as I said in the Little Deuce Coupe review, it's just a great song. Like, nothing about it is crazy, but it's just, you know, you can hear it in the background a little bit. Just catchy, good energy. When the harmonies come in, it's great. And one of my favorite things about it is when you get into the chorus, there's something in the background, kind of, you know, not even a keyboard. It's kind of a similar instrument to the one on the Rocking Surfer, but it's kind of like a keyboard sounding thing that kind of plays in the background, like a note that just kind of plays, and it's really cool. I can't really explain it. You kind of have to listen to it and hear for it. But I like the song a lot. It's great, classic, fun, early Beach Boys. And it is followed up by my personal favorite song on the record, and honestly, a song that is more haunting than In My Room, and if you can't even believe it, it is absolutely fucking cold. You know, right now I'm in my trailer, it's 41 degrees. I imagine this song being just a cold, barren, depressing song. It's called Your Summer Dream, and it is a solo vocal from Brian, with very little instrumentals, very sparse instrumentals. It's so raw and so not empty feeling, but so minimalist, but it works so well because it is just so haunting, you know. When Denny comes in on the ride and then he does the rim shots, dude, man, it gives me chills every time. And it is easily one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. You know, I've posted it on my stories before, and you guys probably seen, because I just love that song so much. And it just, for me, the imagery that it gives me when I listen to it is just unreal. It reminds me of the album cover. When I listen to Your Summer Dream, I look at this album cover, and to me, I think of this album as being a winter album. You know, you have your fun summer songs, but at the same time, you have these beautiful ballads, and Your Summer Dream is like the epitome of those. And to me, it's just like walking on the beach on a chilly winter day. And, you know, not for the album cover because they're all together with a surfboard for a photo shoot, but I just imagine it as, you know, being alone on the beach in the early morning. It's cold, it's foggy, it's dark, and you're just sitting there and you're walking along the beach and kind of just being sad or just thinking. And this one is just this one just makes me feel a certain way. Is it better than In My Room? I don't know. In terms of its cultural significance, no, but in terms of how much I enjoy it, I think it is just as good and easily my favorite song on the record. You know, along with In My Room, but this one just, it feels a lot more touching to me in a certain way just because it's just Brian, and just having solo Brian is just beautiful. And I'll let you listen for a second. It's gonna be really quiet, so you know might need headphones. Beautiful beat, beautiful vocal, amazing atmosphere. And by the way, if you, a lot of you guys have told me that when I say, all right, listen to this for a second, you can't hear the song because it's really quiet. It is really quiet, and I do that for a couple reasons. Copyright, because I don't want to get copyrighted and get my videos taken down. 2, I can't hear myself thinking, and yeah, that's basically why I keep it kind of quiet. But if you do want to hear the song in the background, I recommend wearing headphones when you listen to these reviews because you can kind of hear it going along. I try not to make it too loud because it'll be a little bit distracting, but if you're just listening on your phone speaker, you might want to turn it up during those parts just so you can hear what I'm talking about. Anyway, back to the song. Your Summer Dream is absolutely beautiful, and along with the title track, The Surfer Moon, In My Room, it is one of the 4 best songs on the record, and it's unlike anything they would ever do after. You know, they would still have amazing ballads, but this album in specific, the ballads on here, they're still the Beach Boys playing the instruments. You know, once they would get to, you know, Shut Down Volume 2, All Summer Long, Beach Boys Today, you had the Wrecking Crew going at full force, basically. And, you know, you still had the Beach Boys in there, but this album was where it was only the Beach Boys. You know, I think maybe Our Car Club had Wrecking Crew, but I don't think so, actually. So I'm pretty sure this album is just completely the guys playing their own instruments, and on the ballads especially, you can tell it is a very simple instrumentation, besides Surfer Moon, but for the other ones, you can tell, you know, it's just guitar, bass, drums, vocals, and there's something so special about it, and I love. And the album ends on a very interesting note, Boogie Woody, an instrumental classic traditional song. And honestly, usually I wouldn't like an ending like that. Usually I'd like to end on something like Your Summer Dream, but personally, Boogie Woody is just like, I think it's gonna play in just 1 second, so I'll just let you guys listen to it for a second just to hear what it sounds like. But yeah. So piano, drums, high tempo, and you know, again, just an instrumental. But I like this one a lot. I think it ends the album off on an energetic note. It kind of just like, no vocals or anything. Kind of just does the same thing, just plays around, and it kind of just leaves you feeling in a good mood when it ends it out. And like the Rocking Surfer, it is filler, but it is good filler, and I enjoy it. And with that, ends off Surfer Girl. And yeah, this album is fucking amazing. So, you know, you get 3 beautiful, amazing openers with Surfer Girl, Catch a Wave, The Surfer Moon, the first 3 songs. You know, South Bay Surfer, The Rocking Surfer, 2 good filler songs. You get Little Do Scoop, a classic hot rod song. In My Room, one of the greatest songs ever written. Hawaii, Surfer Girl, Our Car Club. Amazing, amazing early Beach Boys tracks. Your Summer Dream, an amazing fucking beautiful ballad. And then Boogie Woody, another instrumental filler that ends off the album on a great note. That was a lot of words in a very short amount of time, but, you know, it is a short album. And despite that, it still is just packed with great songs. And as I said, I've listened to this more than any Beach Boys album. I think so. I think I have. And it's just a album that is just when I listen to this record, it puts me in late '63. It puts me into this time period of just the Beach Boys growing as a band, and there's so many more things I have to say about it, but really, for such a short record, you guys should just sit down and listen to it, and just let me know what you think. Personally, if I were to have to give this a score out of 10, I'd probably give it a 9, or like a 9.1 or something. You know, I can't give it a 10 out of 10, because yes, there is filler, and yes, it is a short record, but this was the early 60s. This was pre-album era. This is when singles were the primary format of music, so for the Beach Boys to put out an album this great, this early into their career is awesome, and I'll get to the album, the early album that is better than this one in a little bit. That one is All Summer Long. But this one is definitely, out of their first 6 records, which in my opinion is their early period, this one is one of the standout records. And if I had to rank all of them from worst to best, you know, Surfin' Safari, Surfin' USA, Shutdown Volume 2, Little Deuce Coupe, Surfer Girl, All Summer Long. So this one is number 2 out of their early records, and it's great. A lot of great songs. I love the album cover. I love the text, the colors, the picture. You know, the guys with the Pendleton jackets, because this was still the same photo shoot as the Surfin' Safari photo shoot. And I just, it's just so classic. It's just so classic and iconic. As I said, it's just one of my go-to albums, and whenever I'm just, whatever mood I'm in, you know, Pet Sounds is an album that, I mean, okay, obviously Pet Sounds is their most popular album. It's easily their best album they ever released, but that album is so special that I kind of want to reserve it for certain times, because that album just, I don't want to tire myself of it. But this one is different. I can listen to this all day, every day, and I'll never get tired of it, because it's so short and so sweet. And, you know, while it has its deep moments, it's not really, it's still a summer album at its core. And I think it's a good thing, because it still is the early Beach Boys, and it still marks an innocence in popular music at the time. And really, that's kind of what I have to say about it. If I'm leaving anything out, let me know. I'm sorry. But I would really just like I would like you guys to let me know what you think about this one, because this is a classic in every single way. And if you're going to go away from this review and you want to hear some songs, the 4 ballads. So listen to Surfer Girl, listen to The Surfer Moon, In My Room, Your Summer Dream. All masterpieces, all 10 out of 10 songs, some of the best songs that Brian ever wrote. If you want to hear some different songs that you maybe have never heard before, Catch a Wave for sure, Little Deuce Coupe, Hawaii, Surfers Rule, or Car Club. Awesome. And then you have some more filler songs in there, which are fun to check out. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this review. Surfer Girl is one of my personal favorite Beach Boys albums, and while it is not up there, you know, in their top half of their albums, I still think it is a classic. And for their third album being ranked at number 16 out of 30, already being a 9 out of 10, really just shows how fucking amazing of a band they were. And once I get to all the albums after this, man, I'm just going to be so happy. And I think I'm going to start doing reviews longer than 30 minutes. So yes, they're already long as shit, but I have so many more things to say about a lot of these records. So for a lot of the, you know, like the top 5 records, those are going to be pretty long. But anyway, I've been rambling on way too long about this record. Surfer Girl released September 16th, 1963, their third album, charted at number 7, number 16 out of 30 in their ranking, and I'd give it like a 9 out of 10. Absolutely amazing record. I love it. Go check it out. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next album review. Peace out.